I pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. This time we will open the meeting up to citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed. Announcements of the chair, I have none. Supervisor reports. Supervisor Brunig.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to give everyone an update on youth and governance. We are going to be interviewing our next round of candidates on March 25th and 26th. We have 23 youth that we will be interviewing, and shortly after that, we will be making a decision for our next group. Also at this time, I would like to introduce two of our youth in governance. We have Emily Gerstein and Michael Virilio. Emily sits on the Extension Education and Planning and Development Committee, and Michael Virilio sits on the Judiciary and Law Committee. At this time, I would also like to have Mark Molinaro please stand.
Thank you, Supervisor Bruning. In 2006, Supervisor Mark Molinaro came forward as a member of the Extension Education Committee with a request to explore how youth could become more involved in county government. His interest and commitment to the idea resulted in an exploratory meeting that included community stakeholders and youth members such as myself and Emily. This committee examined other youth governance models and submitted a proposal to the county board.
In 2007, the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors approved the resolution to create a Kenosha County Youth and Governance Program. The program allowed 2 youth to sit on each of the county committee boards. And since then, we've had 107 youth serve in the program from 8 different Kenosha County high schools. On behalf of the Youth and Governance Program, we'd like to recognize Supervisor Mark Molinaro for his inspiration and assistance in the creation of the Kenosha County Youth and Governance.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Supervisor Brunig, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Seeing no more lights. I don't see it. Okay. Supervisor Anita Johnson.
Okay, I just wanted to, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to give an update on the Small Business Task Force, the report that is going before the Executive Committee. It is drafted. It'll be submitted for your review after this meeting. And once you've had a chance to review it, it will go to the Executive Committee and to the Executive Office. I'll go over a kind of a little summation of it. What we did was, well, first of all, since small businesses generated over 65% of the new jobs in the country since since 1995. It's very important that we took a look at our small businesses in Kenosha County. How can we help our small businesses? Are we doing everything that we can? What we did was we put together a task force of local key opinion leaders in small business. That task force consisted of, we had our vice chair, Supervisor Kabicki, Supervisor Esposito. We had James McFall, who's the Director of Small Business Development from UW Parkside, Lou Molitor from the Kenosha Area Chamber of Commerce, Jessica Sorensen, who is a business owner and a marketing major, Amy Grill, who is from UW Extension, Violet Ricker, who everybody knows, Executive Director, Downtown Kenosha, Heather Westlane was Vice President of Economic Development, CABA. Eric Hargard from the City Council. Carolyn Freisch, who was very helpful, Director of Internships at Carthage College. And then we also had an intern who sat on the board, Allison von Borstel. The objectives of the task force. First of all, we're going to define small business as what we're going to look at as it pertains to our mission. We wanted to identify the number of businesses that we'd be concerned with as far as our mission again. We wanted to identify the most common obstacles that they face, whether it's in startup, whether it's in just existing as a business, sustaining their business, or expanding their business. We wanted to take a look at what other counties were doing and compare it to what's going on here, would it work here, see if we could actually learn any lessons from other counties' successes and failures. We wanted to identify and prioritize actions that we could recommend to the county. So I'm going to skip to some of the recommendations. Well, first, let me just cover the 5 top issues that we noted were inadequate initial capital for startup and resources for sustainability, information pertaining to public and private sources for funding, grants and loans, inadequate or lack of a business plan. Amazingly enough, a lot of business owners in town didn't even know what a business plan was. Inadequate access to permit and licensing information, whether it's to the procedures they have to go to, fees, even where to go to get them. Many business owners were unfamiliar with the wide variety of valuable resources available to them. Never heard of SBA.gov, UW Parkside Small Business Development Center, which is a free resource for them for many things. WIBIC. So, in a nutshell, what we finally came to realize is that each one of these could be impacted by the simple implementation of a project to update, to work with the municipalities. What we'd like to do is have the county invite them. I'm going to go through this, and I'll say it a little bit more concisely. But have the county invite each municipality to participate in a program to rejuvenate and align their respective websites. The rejuvenation would be completed through the use of interns available through Carthage. Websites would be updated to contain the following attributes, and it would be one that would hit on every one of the aforementioned issues. Links of resources, information pertaining to the importance of developing a business plan, where they can go to develop a business plan, information pertaining to funding resources, both public and private, grants, loans, user-friendly information with regard to mapping and flow diagrams as procedures to go to as they're starting up a business, where to go get what permits and licenses, fees, things like that. And also, we were thinking to kick off the initiative, it would be a great way to start if we invited the leaders from the municipalities together, along with somebody who is actually an expert in their municipality about the permit processes, to start working on it, along with Carolyn Freisch from Carthage, who would be in charge of setting up the interns for the municipalities. Any questions?
So that'll be going to the executive committee next?
Yes. Well, I was
Thank
going to have you take a look at the report, and then I also had discussed it with our executive office, and so I would like to have Jenny and Jim take a look at it and put it in a final draft once I have everybody else's input, and then send it.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Supervisor Hallman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 things. First, on the human services front, the Kenosha Community Health Center is hosting more like an enrollment meeting for folks that need to transition out of Badger Care and go into the marketplace. That's going to be held at Grant Elementary on March 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They've sent me a flyer, so if someone would like a copy of that for their constituents, please let me know. The second thing is that on the NACO side of the house, At our next meeting, I'll give a thorough update of what the content was regarding the legislative conference that was in DC about 2 weeks ago. Just one sort of small teaser, if I could. We received information that our federal transportation fund, the Highway Trust Fund, which we use for paving roads as well as subsidizing mass transit in this nation, is going to go broke by the middle of summer. And the chair of the House Committee on Transportation, Chairman Schuster, has asked the steering committee of the National Association of Counties to propose language, for the legislative bill. But I'll tell you a little bit more about that at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hallman. Seeing no lights, supervisor reports are closed. I just want to remind everybody that due to the election on April 1st, our next board meeting will be April 2nd, so everybody knows. Thank you.
County Executive Appointments, 40, Jolie McKenna to serve on the Kenosha County Aging and Disability Resource Center Board.
Refer to the Human Services Committee.
41, Pamela Device to serve on the Kenosha County Aging and Disability Resource Center Board.
Refer to the Human Services Committee.
Resolution 98 from Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee regarding extension of probationary cabaret license for Kickstand Bar and Grill. Judiciary and Law, Esposito, yes. Ron Johnson, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Arrington excused. Anita Johnson, yes. Montemiro, yes. Noble, yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Resolution 98.
Resolution 98 has been moved by Supervisor Esposito, seconded by Supervisor Ron Johnson. Supervisor Esposito.
This resolution was referred back to our committee. It was initially a permanent cabaret license. There seemed to be an issue in between when our last meeting met and the county board met, so last month it was referred back to our committee. In lieu of that, a regular permanent cabaret license, we put Kickstand Bar and Grill on a probationary cabaret license instead of a permit, so permanent. So in 6 months, we're going to see how things go. The owner of the establishment was there. We had some good feedback with Captain Weichert and so on and so forth. So at this time, I urge your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 98 passes.
Ordinance 24, Michael L. and Susan M. Sorensen, owner, requesting a rezoning from A2 General Agricultural District, R2 Suburban Residential District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to R2 Suburban Residential District and C1 Lowland Resource in the town of Summers. Brunig, yes. Decker, yes. Underhill, excused. Dodge, yes. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Brunig.
Move ordinance number 24.
Ordinance 24 has been moved by Supervisor Brunig, seconded by Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Brunig.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located on the southwest quarter of Section 1 in the town of Summers. We are switching it from A2 General Agricultural District, R2 Suburban Residential District, and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District to R2 Suburban Residential District and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy District. The town of Summers has approved this, and I urge your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Brunig. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes.
Policy resolution, first reading, 2 required. 3 from Finance and Administration Committee, establishment of a donations policy. Resolution 108 from Judiciary and Law and Finance Administration Committee regarding 2014 exercise grant, Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs, Homeland Security for Kenosha County Active Shooter FX and FS exercises. Judiciary and Law, Esposito, yes. Ron Johnson, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Arrington excused. Anita Johnson, yes. Montemiro, yes. Noble, yes. Finance Administration, Rose, yes. Ron Frederick, yes. O'Day, yes. Grady excused. Komeyer, yes. Kubicki, yes. Molinaro, yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you. I move Resolution 108.
Resolution 108's been moved by Supervisor Esposito, seconded by Supervisor Boyd Frederick. Supervisor Esposito.
This grant is a 2014 exercise grant with the Wisconsin Department of Military Affairs, Homeland Security, active shooter exercises. Pretty interesting. I'd like to publicly thank Lieutenant Gil Ben for taking the lead on this, in emergency management systems. Great things he's doing there. Appreciative he's kept our committee up to date on certain things that are going forward, what he plans, short-term, long-term goals. Just want to publicly say I really do appreciate that. But going forward, this resolution basically is an award of $18,501 from the state of Wisconsin to conduct an exercise and prepare the county for emergencies resulting in a man-made or natural disaster. Basically, what we're going to do with this is it's an active type shooter scenario in schools. So we're hoping that we're going to go forward with certain small tasks and then have one big exercise, like kind of a dry run at the end. And just really good to see that we're going to somehow go forward, and these things are becoming more and more prevalent in today's society. So with that, I urge your approval with the recommendation of both committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to either Supervisor Esposito or Lieutenant Gil Ben. I first make apology for not being in committee when this was discussed, so perhaps these questions would have been answered there, but nonetheless, there probably are points of interest that may serve the greater body of us here assembled this evening. And that is, have we participated in this type of thing before, or is this brand new?
It's brand new.
Okay, so we've not done it. This is a new thing for Kenosha County.
Correct.
Second thing is, where will they actually have these exercises take place? Will that be locally here in Kenosha County, or what are the details on that?
I believe so, but if I believe Lieutenant Ben is here. He could spread a little more light on that for you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Lieutenant Gil Ben with Emergency Management. Just a few words to shed some light on this effort here. It seems like a month doesn't go by, we hear about a shooter in a mall, a school, some place of business, a Sikh temple, ends up in disaster and the community just devastated by it. This is an opportunity by accepting these grant monies to allow a lot of agencies in the county, throughout the county and city, to train and prepare for just this type of situation. God forbid it does happen. It will afford us the training and some exposure to what we might be dealing with if it does happen. Generally, what I would like to, my objective here is to conduct 2 exercises. This effort started late in 2013 with a discussion, a tabletop. There was a lot of talk amongst fire, rescue personnel, law enforcement, also the medical examiner, in the schools, in the hospitals, the entire EMS system, about, are we ready for this? How would we prepare for it? Stemming from that, I sought out some grant funds from the Department of Military Affairs, and luckily we were granted that money. I think their involvement tipped those scales and got us the funds to proceed with this. Again, the effort is to conduct a functional exercise this year with a facilitator, and that means testing command and control of what will happen. How will the commanders, the people, the supervisors, the fire chief, the sheriff's commander, the police commander, the school officials respond at the scene? We test our abilities first. We see what we've done wrong, we see what we've done right. The first event is scripted and timed, like a movie script. We're put in separate rooms. The actual event occurs over a timed span. And again, we pick out what we did right, what we did wrong. Separate evaluators do this, and an after-action report is produced. After the after-action report, we make those improvements. It just doesn't sit out there. Once those improvements are made, the long-term effort in 2015 is to go to a full scale. That's making the movie happen, bringing in the victims, the alleged victims, the actual players, the police, the fire, Unified School District. I'm also bringing into this, and we'll see how we do. And again, it's evaluated, it's observed, and we make improvements stemming on what happens there.
So the testing to get back to the question, is it going to all be local? I think that was his question.
The effort right now is yet to be determined where it's going to be. There's been some talk about a West End school that's available. It has to be discussed and has yet to be determined. Personally, I think we've got to bring the city in and the Kenosha Police Department, Kenosha Fire, and we got to talk about where we're going to have it that can benefit all these agencies the best. It's going to be up to the committee, not just one person, and everybody who is going to come to our planning meeting. In fact, I've already got it scheduled, hopefully for the beginning of April, and we'll determine it at that point. By the 15th, I should have at least a date set. So to answer your question in short, I don't know yet, but we have some ideas. One of those would be the Trevor-Wilmot School that's abandoned now, just north of the high school in Wilmot. And there, I just spoke with Mr. Finnemore from Kenosha Unified School District, and he's also offered us schools in his district if need be. So still yet to be determined.
So it sounds as though this is very much a work in progress. We've got one thing set for 2014, which will be scripted.
Right.
And then 2015 will be a different type of exercise. Does this budgetary proposal cover both of those
It does.
entities?
It does.
Well, I think that it's well-reasoned, and I must offer my congratulations for you. Did you write this grant?
I had some help from a facilitator, but we worked together on
I
it.
think this is the direction we need to go as a county to be prepared. You know, as you have aptly stated, we see these types of things all the time, and maybe there's not a way to prevent them, but to react to them in a timely and efficient manner. It's very pleasing to see this, so that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Seeing no more lights, this is a budget modification. Roll call, please. Resolution 108 passes unanimously.
Resolution 109 from Judiciary and Law and Finance Administration Committees regarding 2014 Wisconsin OJA Multi-Jurisdiction Drug Task Force Grant, Southeast Area Drug Operations Group, CDOG. Judiciary and Law, Esposito, yes. Ron Johnson, yes. Boyd Frederick, yes. Arrington excused. Anita Johnson, yes. Montemero, yes. Noble, yes. Finance Administration, Rose, yes. Ron Frederick, yes. O'Day, yes. Grady excused. Komeyer, yes. Kubicki, yes. Molinaro, yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Thank you. I move Resolution 109.
Resolution 109 has been moved by Supervisor Esposito, seconded by Supervisor Noble. Supervisor Esposito.
This 2014 Multi-Jurisdictional Drug Force Grant, also known as CDOG, Southeast Area Drug Operations Group, it's awarded a total of $2,011,792 within, I believe it's 4 counties. Kenosha County's portion of that is $53,140. This money is going to go to support investigative costs, inform and information, drug buys, purchase of equipment, telecommunications, expenditures, and overtime. Once again, I urge your approval. It was recommended by both committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Esposito. Seeing no lights, this is a budget modification. We'll need roll call and 2/3 vote. Resolution 109 passes unanimously.
Resolution 110 from Public Works Facilities Committee, a resolution to repair the State Trunk Highway 50 rail highway crossing with the tracks of the Union Pacific Railroad in the village of Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha County. Alberman, yes. Noble, yes. Dodge, yes. Nudo excused. Skalitsky, yes.
Supervisor Alverman.
I move Resolution 110, Mr. Chairman.
Resolution 110 has been moved by Supervisor Alverman, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky. Supervisor Alverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a pretty typical resolution that many of you have seen. If you haven't, I'll explain it. When the railroad crossings become dangerous, our highway commissioner deems them a public safety. We contact the railroad companies, and they don't repair them. So what we then are forced to do is pass this resolution. What this resolution does is put them on record, or a notice, and then the record goes to the state railroad commissioner. The state railroad commissioner then informs them that they have to do the repairs, and they are forced to. So this is something, since I've been involved with the county, that we've done numerous times, and again, they aren't repaired until we do this resolution, and the railroad commissioner then does the enforcement. So I would ask for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Seeing no lights, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution 110 passes.
Communications 14 from Andy Ambula regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file that communication.
Summons and complaint and claim 36, Mario Eccles, personal injury.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Year.
37, Harold Thurber, mailbox damage.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Approval of the minutes from the March 4th, 2014 minutes by Supervisor R. Frederick.
Supervisor Ron Frederick.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the minutes of March 4th, 2014.
Supervisor Frederick has moved the minutes from March 4th. It's been seconded by Supervisor Brunig. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. It's been moved by Supervisor Decker, seconded by Supervisor Skalitsky to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?